Hello and happy Monday, Mommies. Today we are joined with two sisters, Charene and Jeri Rucker. Hey, Charene and Jeri.
Hi.
Charene and Jeri are the mothers of Aiden and soon-to-be baby girl. Jeri had Aiden and Charene is currently pregnant. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You are welcome. So, Jeri, let's start off with you. What was your journey to motherhood like?
So it was a very long journey. When I was 22, I was diagnosed with endometriosis. I had a lot of like really bad stomach pains. I went to the ER. They did an ultrasound and found a grapefruit-sized cyst on my ovary, which had to be removed surgically. And after surgery, my gynecologist was like, you might want to think about having children now or very soon because we don't know how this has affected your fertility. And it affected it clearly. So I think a year and a half after that, we became pregnant. But that was a miscarriage. And immediately after that, we became pregnant with Aiden. And because of the miscarriage, the pregnancy started off with a lot of anxiety and ended with a lot of anxiety. I'll get into that in a second. I didn't feel like I was able to enjoy it because we were just so scared at every single step. All the way up until the end, he came very early. At 36 weeks, he was healthy for the most part. He was just really, really little. I had preeclampsia at the end, and which led to an emergency C-section, and my blood pressure was through the roof, and it was very scary. But we got through it, and we came a long way. So just blessed.
Awesome. Now, I was diagnosed with gestational hypertension, and so I know what it feels like. Well, I don't know what it feels like with preeclampsia, but like the anxiety. So kind of tell us how you were able to, get past that or find your strength in those moments to get you to that time of meeting Aiden and having Aiden. And Charene, tell us how you supported Jeri in those moments.
I think it took a lot of support. Our support system stepped up a lot for us because I went to a general OB appointment and ended up in the hospital for a week. And it was nerve-wracking, but I was just ready to have my baby. Like, I just wanted him here. But the doctors assured me that he would be okay. He shouldn't have to spend any time in the NICU. So I was more afraid for my health because my blood pressure was so high, and I had never had blood pressure issues before. But everybody was like, as soon as he's here, you shouldn't have any problems. He should be okay. And I was just like, okay, well, I want him here. So they were monitoring me really close. I wasn't allowed to get out of the bed at all. And it went way faster than I thought it would. Because one day they were like, well, you have another week before we'll induce you. And then I went to an ultrasound and literally they were like, we're inducing you in the morning. So that was horrifying because I wasn't ready at that point. I was like, I still have another week. Like, they literally told me, we're inducing you at 6 a.m. And I wasn't supposed to really get into active labor until that afternoon. But before that afternoon, he was already here. Like, he was here by 11 a.m. So it just went, I think it went too fast for me to even get scared. So, yeah.
For me, it was more so like, I was scared at the beginning because when we first found out she had preeclampsia, we had no idea what that was. Actually, we did. We found out one of our friends had it at like 26 weeks, and she actually had to deliver her baby at 26 weeks. So we got terrified, but the positive side about that was she was already like 35, 36 weeks pregnant. So we were like, we've seen, like, we know the viability is 24 weeks, and we know after 24 weeks, the baby has an even more chance of survival outside of the womb. So we weren't terrified in that sense. Like she said, we were mostly terrified for her health. But me, it wasn't me. So it was kind of like, I was just chilling. So it was like, oh, okay, you want some food? You want me to go here? You want me to go here? I was having a pretty good time, other than being, terrified. But once he got here, I mean, I feel like I would say most of the fear went away, but it didn't, because
he was so little.
He was born 5 pounds 9 ounces, and then when he was born, he didn't know how to eat, so
he was losing weight, and no clothes fit him. We had to buy preemie clothes, and we never imagined having to buy preemie clothes for our baby, and the preemie clothes were too big. It was just
it was very scary, like, because I mean, my sisters have had kids, and I've held them little, but actually holding your own child, like, I used to hold Aiden with one hand when he was first born, and I was just like, this is scary. So the whole process was just scary, and everybody's like, well, don't worry, you're never going to stop worrying. So I'm just like, this is just great.
I understand. My mom is she probably doesn't want me to say her age, but she's, over the hill, but she still worries, and she's like, you're never going to stop worrying, you're still going to have some nights. So I understand. Micah was 6 pounds when he was born, and things going by fast, Jeri. I can understand with that, because like you're gonna have a C-section, and they couldn't even get to the C-section because Micah was like, nope, I'm coming now. So I understand the whole thing about things moving so fast. And with that, I know you said that Aiden is your miracle baby. So tell me a little bit about, the emotions behind losing a child, but then also the joy that came with Aiden and knowing that you were pregnant with Aiden. And you actually had to get the IUI, correct? In the is it HCG shots?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about those process, losing a baby, the joy of Aiden, and then, the process of the IUI.
Fertility has been a huge issue for a very long time for both of us. So, we tried a ton of different techniques to get pregnant. And then finally we decided we were going to go the IUI route. We saved up for a very long time because at the time we didn't have like great jobs, but to us it didn't matter. We wanted a family, and I didn't know how long I'd be able to carry a child, and so we were just ready to go. So on our first official try of IUI, getting that positive was like the best thing in the whole entire world. We were so excited. We called everybody. I told coworkers, we told friends, we told everybody. And literally, I think the next day, the pregnancy was ending. So it was devastating. Like it felt like the worst thing in the world. But I just think it wasn't our time. And if that pregnancy was a success, we wouldn't have Aiden. So, I mean, this is the best thing we could have asked for, is to have Aiden out of he's amazing. He's the best thing that's ever happened to us besides each other. I mean, but if it wasn't for us, he wouldn't be here. Right. So, I mean, we learned, we lived, and I mean, it's just, we went from a very, very low place in trying to conceive our first child to just having the best thing you could ever imagine. It's just, he's just amazing. Wouldn't you agree?
I totally agree. I look at him every day, I'm just blessed.
Yeah. We watched our videos yesterday, and we were like, you remember crying all those nights about wanting to have a kid, and now he's here? Like, it's crazy. Like, just watching the progression of our family, and now expecting our second child, which we never thought would happen, especially from her, because she has worse fertility problems than me. And it's just like, we felt like, I don't know, we felt like we had just bad luck. But what are the odds that we're both lesbians and we both have fertility issues? Like, what are the odds? So I thought that if I can't conceive, she'll be able to conceive. But
life been working away.
I don't know if a lot of people know this, but when Aiden was when Aiden was about 9 or 10 months old, you go in the living room, please? We tried to conceive, both of us, back to back, and it was not a success. So we never thought that we would be able to have a second child either. So we became foster parents, which we still are, and we still plan on being foster parents, because we still want to adopt, but we'll probably be adopting our third child instead of our second at this point. Yeah, I mean, we've come a long way.
Y'all have. I was actually able to, before I moved, spend some time with y'all and your wonderful family. But Charene, I want to jump to you and talk about, your experience with your health issues and, you being pregnant now, seeing what Jeri went through. Like, how is it for you now?
Well, all right. So my story is a little different than Jeri. Like she said, we both tried IUIs, like maybe when Aiden was about 9 months old. And then we kind of just gave up hope. We were just like, you know what, this isn't for us. We'll just go the fostering or adoption route.
We literally made a YouTube video and it's titled "We Give Up."
Yeah, like we literally were just like, because at that point it was kind of coming like, if you have fertility issues and you're in a relationship, you know how stressful it can be on your relationship. Mm-hmm. So we kind of were just like, is it really worth it? Are we kind of reaching for something that we shouldn't be reaching for? We already have a beautiful son. Do we need to keep trying for another one? So,
mind you, it's costly as well.
Right.
So
it was financially stressful. Mm-hmm. It was mentally stressful, emotionally stressful. So we were just like, all right, we're done. But then we found a clinic in Georgia, but they're out in New York, and they did IVF, because we said if we were ever to do it again, it wouldn't be IUI, which is what Jeri did. So
the success rates are way higher.
Yeah, the success rates for IUI are like 7%.
But you had half of that because you had tube issues.
Yeah, I had, so my fertility issues are a little bit different than hers. I only have one fallopian tube. So in order for me to get pregnant, it only can go through one fallopian tube. So, I was already at a disadvantage there, and they couldn't track how to get me pregnant. So, because I was ovulating through birth control, everything that could go wrong was going wrong. So I was just like, okay, so we went through IVF, and everything was going perfect. So I was just like, it was going way too perfect. So we were like, okay, something, you're just waiting for the ball to drop. So, we went through the whole IVF process, which mine was like way more invasive than hers. I had to go to the doctor every 2 days. I had to get a ton of shots. Like, I was taking like 4 shots a day, 4 pills a day, every day for like 3 weeks. And then after we flew to New York, got the IVF done, we stayed there for a week, and we flew back home. When we flew back home, we started testing to see if I was pregnant, and I was pregnant. So we found out like right a little bit before Christmas that I actually was pregnant. Well, we actually were pregnant, and it kind of was scary because knowing Jeri's process, it's still like everything still could have went wrong. And like a lot of IVFs, like the way that we did it, we did a fresh transfer. So we didn't get any of our embryos tested. So they could have been, it's possible to have abnormalities in your embryo. So we didn't know if it was going to be a viable pregnancy, if it was just, we got lucky or anything like that. So, all we could do was just pray, and every appointment we went to, my numbers kept rising. We saw the ultrasound, everything was on track, and now I'm about to be 21 weeks. So, let me
tell you, fertility treatments are no fun. You're like getting poked and prodded all the time, and like it's a lot on your body. It's a lot mentally. Like, yeah,
I was on a shot for like 12 weeks straight. So, even after I found out I was pregnant, they kept me on the shot.
Mm-hmm. So she took shots until she was 10 weeks pregnant?
Yeah, it was like, I think I stopped myself at 11 weeks because I started seeing my numbers and I was like, this is ridiculous. I feel like I'm overstimulating my body. So I was just like, I'm done. So yeah, it was just the whole thing is just a blessing. It's still scary. A lot of things now that we know to look out for, like we didn't know then when Jeri was pregnant to check your blood pressure. Like that wasn't a common thing for
or
us.
that protein in your urine was a serious issue,
right.
or like random swelling. You need to look out for that. We were just like, oh, this is regular pregnancy stuff. No, because I ended up in the hospital.
Yeah, so now like around the time that you develop preeclampsia, it's like 22 weeks. So I'm right at that mark. So we went and bought a blood pressure cup, and I'm like, I'm just gonna make sure I'm good. And I was pre-diabetic, so I had a fear of that getting pregnant and automatically getting gestational diabetes, which right now I don't have. So thank God.
Yeah, you had to get tested early for that because she's already susceptible for diabetes. She's pre-diabetic at this point, but she doesn't have it. So we're in the clear for that.
Right.
Which is great.
Awesome. And we're going to say that you're going to stay in the clear.
Absolutely.
And for mothers out there who are wondering, you know, how can I stop myself from getting preeclampsia or gestational hypertension? These are things, unfortunately, that we kind of don't have control over. It's just our bodies, and that's, you know, how our bodies are reacting. Does it mean that you did something wrong? Absolutely not. It just happened. It doesn't mean that, you know, you're being a bad mom in pregnancy. It's just normal, some things that are happening to some moms. So I kind of want to switch gears and let's jump into talking about Aiden. So on your YouTube channel, you talked about at 22 weeks, you all found out that Aiden had a form of autism. So kind of walk us through, you know, what that was like for y'all. Kind of walk us through, you know, what went through your minds at that point, but also how you decided you were going to live your lives for Aiden.
So, all right. So I'm a special ed teacher. And there's a lot of kids with different things. Autism, Down syndrome, just developmental delay. And it's one kid in my class, and he just stood out to me. And I came home one day, and I was like,
after months of struggling with Aiden having breakdowns and tantrums, and he doesn't know how to stop. We can't console him. We don't know what to do. And
he just wasn't verbal.
Right.
So it was like, okay, we had him in speech therapy. We had him going to OT, everything
which
like
is
that.
Occupational therapy.
Right. So we had him doing all of that. So it was like, it kind of was just a time where we were like, you know, let's not be afraid to see, you know, to get him tested. We talked to the pediatrician, and she was like, yeah, you know, he has a lot of red flags. So we went and got him tested for autism, and we were right. He's on the low end of the spectrum. I know a lot of people don't like using words like that, but he's on the lower end of the spectrum for autism,
which means he's higher functioning.
Right.
Which means he could have a normal, we think, an average life, like the typical person. We think, because he's slightly delayed, but not as delayed as he could be.
Right.
So
like he's still, like, right now he's about to be 3 in June. So in a few more months he'll be 3. And I mean, he's a lot more verbal than he was, but he's not verbal
forming
like
the sentences that a
right.
3-year-old, almost 3-year-old should
right.
be, quote unquote.
So it's a lot of like a lot of his words are words that he's heard us say, and he'll repeat after us, and he'll use it in the same context that we use it in. Or he'll see something on TV and he'll literally repeat whatever he hears on TV. So of course we have to watch that. But yeah, it can be very stressful sometimes. Like sometimes we look at each other and we're like, I think he's like aging out of his diagnosis.
And then literally the next day we're like, oh.
We're like, yeah, no, never mind. Because it's like we have those rough days, and like even talking to like my mom and stuff, and I'll talk to her on the phone, and she's like, he's doing so good, and I'm like, yeah. And she literally came over here this past weekend, and she was like,
I don't know how y'all do that. Like, he hasn't slept through the night since he's been on this earth.
Right.
We have been. He has us running.
Yeah. So it's rough. Like she thought it was not a joke, but she thought it wasn't as serious as we were making it.
Which a lot of people, when you spend like a couple of hours with him, you don't really notice it. But then when you spend like a significant amount of time with him, you see things like, that's kind of
right. Like we can't. Like we just realized he started this thing. We can't put shoes on him, get him dressed, or say go. If
he completely freaks out.
He will freak out because he thinks when we leave the house, it's time to pack up everything in the world.
Like we're moving out.
Like we're moving. Like any toys, and he has a lot of toys. So any toys he has to find a bag, put them in, and he's like, frantic, like throwing everything in the bag, crying, screaming. And if we don't let him get it, if we don't let him fill up the bag, it's even worse. Like the whole situation is horrible. So my mom kept trying to like stop him from filling up the bag, and I was like, you can't do that. You have to let him work this out on his own because he feels like this is what I have to do. This is my responsibility.
And we learned that technique through attending a lot of therapies with him. They said that with autistic children, this is their world. We're just living in it. So you have to kind of work around their quirks as opposed to trying to make them conform to what's considered normal.
Right.
So we have adjusted a lot in our lives to accommodate his needs. So yeah, when he was diagnosed, I got in the car and I cried like a baby, y'all. Like I was devastated. Like he already has so much against him. And with having lesbian parents, being a little mixed boy coming from 2 brown-skinned moms and not having a father figure, and now he's autistic, like I didn't know how to handle it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but she talked to me and we got through it. And we realized that there's nothing wrong with him, that it just makes him more unique. I can't reach it. What's wrong? Let me get a cookie.
So yeah, it, like she said, it was, when she found out, it was, to her, it was devastating. To me, it was kind of a relief, because it was kind of like, we have been struggling so hard to figure out, why is he having this tantrum every single time? It was just kind of like,
it was a tantrum with everything. Changing his diaper, making his food, changing his clothes, getting in the bed, taking the shot, everything was a tantrum.
It was just like, what's happening? And it just got to a point where we're like, this can't be how everything is supposed to run. Like,
we thought it was something we were doing.
Right. So we figured out he has a really bad problem with transitions, which, we probably could have figured that out, but after taking him to therapies and stuff like that, they've been working on transitions, and of course him talking, which he's, you just heard him say, I can't reach it. So he's doing a lot better with certain things, which, we're just blessed that he's, developing like he is.
Like the more he talks, the better we can accommodate his needs, because he can tell us what he wants, which takes down a lot of the stress in the household, because he's not screaming for everything. He's actually using his words, which has been so helpful. But when he wasn't verbal, it was just screaming. Yeah. And we didn't know what he wanted.
And even now, sometimes he just wakes up screaming. And we're like, what do you want? And then we ask him what he wants. He's like, no. And I'm like, look, man, I need everything in the house. What you mean no? So that's still very stressful. But we've come a long way. Like, he at least knows, certain things, how to ask for or how to point to it. He knows the direction it's in. So it's getting better. All we can just ask that it just keeps getting better.
And there are some positive things about autism. He's a very creative kid. He loves music. He's a very musical child. He likes to dance. He catches on to things like numbers, letters, and colors really quick. So there are some positive things to this. Let's not just talk about the negative. He's very witty. You ask him if he poops, he goes, I guess so. Or thank you so much. Like, where did you get that from? And the words he uses sometimes are crazy, but I mean, he's getting there.
He is.
Definitely.
I just want to say, as mothers, I follow you also. Charene and Jeri are my friends. They're like my sisters. And in following them, not just in life, but even on their social media, you see how they interact with Aiden and how they expose him to different things. And it's just so warming to see. And to be quite honest, I'm jealous of Aiden's childhood. He's been to a lot more places than I've been, and I'm 29. But what advice do you have for mothers, just regular mothers and mothers who have children with disabilities? You know, what are some advice that you have for them? Because y'all are, even though y'all have struggled through so much, y'all have so much resilience, y'all have so much strength, and like y'all continue to strive. So what's some advice that y'all have for other mothers?
I'm not gonna lie. If it wasn't for us having each other, I don't know how we would make it. So definitely, I mean, just embrace your support system. That's the first thing. Embrace your support system. Take all the help. Don't be super mom, please. But also, I mean, just remember that the hard times are not always going to be the hard times. Right. Which we have to remember. Like we always say, like we'll get through it. Like we look back on the times when he was 2 months old and he cried for 24 hours straight, and we never slept, and we never thought we were going to get through that, but we got through it. Just know that it's not forever, and use your resources. A lot of people I don't want to kind of ignore the warning signs of special needs and disabilities. Mm-hmm. Please don't. Get the help ASAP. As soon as you see an issue, get the help, because the sooner you get it, the easier to be on you.
A lot of things that like I hear people say, like we're in a lot of mom groups, and we see moms like they might have got the diagnosis of their child having autism, and it's not a death sentence, which is what a lot of people think it is. Like I'm not saying they think that it is, but it's like they think it's the end of the world. Like my child is never. Don't put a cap on your child. You know, you never know. You can't see the future. So only God knows what will happen in the future. So you can't say my child, they might say your child may never talk. All right, cool. I got you. I'm going to show you you're going to be able to talk. You know what I'm saying? It's just motivation for us to know, like, hey, he might not be able to do this till he's 5. Well, it's nothing wrong with working with your child now to ensure that they can do it when they're 5. Because not getting them, if you're so devastated by the diagnosis, you'll just stop doing what you need to do for your child. So you are your child's biggest advocate, in my opinion.
And also, don't blame yourself.
Right, because it's not your fault.
Autism isn't something you can catch or you expose your child to. This is in their genetics.
Right.
So I blame myself with Aiden, and
well, she cut that out quick.
I definitely I did. She wasn't playing that. So I was like, you know, when you pray to have a child, you just pray that they're healthy and that they come in. And I didn't think to pray to make sure that he was mentally healthy. I didn't think about that. So I blame myself. And I obviously was being irrational. You can't guarantee your child will come in the world perfect or with no mental issues or even physical issues. So
which, I mean, he's still perfect. So.
He is perfect. But that, just don't blame yourself. Right. And I had a lot of moms contact me, and they're like, I feel like I failed my child. Like, and I'm like, how? This is something that they were born with. You didn't fail your child. The only way you can fail your child is if you ignore it.
Exactly.
You can't ignore it. Yeah. And a lot of people, like you said, he goes everywhere with us. And part of that is because of his autism, because not a lot of people understand his quirks, and they don't have the patience to sit and be calm and or do all the things that we do. So we're like, nope, you can't watch my baby. But I don't regret it because obviously we still do get our time, but we don't get as much time as a lot of other parents because we just don't feel like we know him more than anybody else. And not a lot of people understand his needs like we do. And we don't want him to be stressing somebody out or stressed out because whoever's watching him is not understanding what's going on. So yeah, he tags along with us everywhere most of the time.
Just about everywhere.
Just about.
If we go out of the state, he's coming with us.
Yes.
Because he's been on a few flights.
But we also, like, when I'm not downing my upbringing, but I didn't go many places. I went on the airplane maybe twice. Everything else was like road trips to Florida. So we always said, when we travel, we're taking our kids because we want them to have those experiences just like we do. And we want to have them as a family. So when everybody was like, why are you having kids so early? Don't you want to travel? I want to travel with my kids. So that was always the goal, was to do family stuff.
Nice. Well, everyone, I just want to say that our amazing Micah decided to join us. But in everything that y'all do, y'all always do it with love, whether it's love for each other or love for Aiden. And I love it. I love following y'all. Jeri will get messages from me all the time talking about, I'm so excited for everything. But if you all want to follow Jeri and Charene, you can follow them on YouTube. Their channel is Two Mother Ruckers. And they also have a Instagram page, Two Mother Ruckers. So just want to say thank you so much for giving us insight into your life and your world. And Aiden, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We will see y'all next time. Say bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, mommies. I hope you enjoyed today's interview. Make sure you share and subscribe and click that bell at the top. We'll see you next Monday. Say bye, Micah.